أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وإذ قال موسى لفتاه لا أبرح حتى أبلغ مجمع البحرين أو أمضي حقبا فلما بلغا مجمع بينهما نسيا حوتهما فاتخذ سبيله في البحر سربا فلما جاوزا قال لفتاه آتنا غداءنا لقد لقينا من سفرنا هذا نصبا قال أرأيت إذ أوينا إلى الصخرة فإني نسيت الحوت وما أنسانيه إلا الشيطان أن أذكره واتخذ سبيله في البحر عجبا قال ذلك ما كنا نبغ فارتدا على آثارهما قصصا فوجدا عبدا من عبادنا آتيناه رحمة من عندنا وعلمناه من لدنا علما قال له موسى هل أتبعك على أن تعلمني مما علمت رشدا قال إنك لن تستطيع معي صبرا وكيف تصبر على ما لم تحط به خبرا قال ستجدني إن شاء الله صابرا ولا أعصي لك أمرا قال فإن اتبعتني فلا تسألني عن شيء حتى أحدث لك منه ذكرا فانطلقا حتى إذا ركبا في السفينة خرقها قال أخرقتها لتغرق أهلها لقد جئت شيئا إمرا قال ألم أقل إنك لن تستطيع معي صبرا قال لا تؤاخذني بما نسيت ولا ترهقني من أمري عسرا فانطلقا حتى إذا لقيا غلاما فقتله قال أقتلت نفسا زكية بغير نفس لقد جئت شيئا نكرا قال ألم أقل لك إنك لن تستطيع معي صبرا قال إن سألتك عن شيء بعدها فلا تصاحبني قد بلغت من لدني عذرا فانطلقا حتى إذا أتيا قرية استطعما أهلها فأبوا أن يضيفوهما فوجدا فيها جدارا يريد أن ينقض فأقامه قال لو شئت لاتخذت عليه أجرا صدق الله العلي العظيم. اللهم صل وسلم وزد وبارك على رسول الله وآله الأطهار على رسول الله وآله الأطهار صلوات. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الخلق وأعز المرسلين، سيدنا حبيب قلوبنا شفيع ذنوبنا طبيب نفوسنا أبا القاسم محمد بن عبد الله وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين. اللهم صل على محمد آل محمد. Assalamu alaikum to all of you, brothers and sisters. Thank you. May Allah accept your deeds, accept your efforts, especially in this rainy weather, coming from far distances, tolerating this swampy weather, this swampy land. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward you, inshaAllah, more than you expect, in ways that you haven't even thought about, like He rewarded Yusuf alayhi salam. As the narration says, al-ajr ala qadri al-mashaqqa. Compensation is according to the effort that you do. The more effort, the more the compensation, inshallah. So thank you again for your presence, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep you in good health and make you more powerful, more determined to grasp from the knowledge of the Qur'an and the knowledge from the knowledge of whom the Qur'an was sent on, which is the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his household. According to the narration, إني تارك فيكم ثقلين كتاب الله وعترتي أهل بيتي. But as usual, first of all, let us start our lecture by asking repentance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And what's better way to start our lecture than pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. أعوذ بجلال وجهك الكريم أن ينقضي عني شهر رمضان أو يطلع الفجر من ليلتي هذه ولك قبلي ذنب أو تبعة تعذبني علي بحق محمد وآله الطاهرين. اللهم صل على محمد. One of the great sayings for one of the well-known French authors, a French physician, a French author called Maurice Bussière. Now this author says a great witness. He has witnessed the greatness of the Qur'an through the stories of the Qur'an, through the teachings of the Qur'an. So he says in one of his well-known statements that the Qur'an teachings are geared to establish a fair society where every individual is not oppressed, not persecuted, where every individual is treated fairly according to common standards. How much we need this in our life, where every country, every ideology, every culture, every ethnicity maybe, has its own criteria in defining whether this action or this plan or this whatever is just or not, fair or not, right or not. The Qur'an teachings, the specialty of the Qur'an teachings is not like other stories who are meant to entertain mostly. The specialty of the Qur'an stories is that you can apply those teachings, the teachings of those stories, on our society to establish fairness and equality or equity among all individuals in every nation, in every country. The story of Yusuf alayhi salam gave us a lot of signs, a lot of ways to establish a just society. One of the main important ways, most vital ways, is to choose a political leader where those attributes are manifested in him. The attributes that Yusuf alayhi salam has shown through all the trials that he passed through or went through. Dignity, good moral, patience, humility, as we finalized our lecture, in front of his parents. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala raised him. That's the secret behind the divinity, or let's say the sacredness of the Qur'an. It boosts your spirits, it changes your soul, it changes your mentality, it gives you this tranquility, psychological tranquility, that you're on the right path. Whether you succeeded in this life in appointing a political leader, a just political leader, or not, just that you are on the right path, seeking the right path, seeking to empower those rightful leaders, then you are content with yourself. You have this mental stability. You're on the right path. But this person who looks for desires that contradicts with Allah's satisfaction will always be what? Reluctant. Will always be unstable, unhappy, uncomfortable. Tranquility, peace is attained by learning from those teachings, the teachings of the Qur'an. That's why the Qur'an is blessed in every house. According to the narration of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Now this hadith that I'm going to mention now is mentioned in a lot of sources from both schools of thought in Islam. Rasulullah says, البيت الذي يقرأ فيه القرآن ويذكر الله عز وجل ويذكر الله عز وجل فيه تكثر بركته. A house where the Quran is recited or interpreted, the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will shower upon this house. وتحضره الملائكة, angels are present in this house. They like to attend this house. They like to be present in this house. They like to be the guests in this house. وتهجره الشياطين, devils abandon this house. ويضيء لأهل السماء كما يضيء الكوكب الدري لأهل الأرض. ويضيء لأهل السماء. The Quran, recitation of the Quran in any house, what will this effect be on your house? is that this house will shine for the residents of the skies, for the inhabitants of the skies. You will be well known for the residents of the skies, like the planets, like the stars that show the way for the inhabitants of the earth. Allahu Akbar. So your house, if the Qur'an is recited in your house or interpreted or analyzed, will be a guidance even for the residents of the skies, like the stars are guidance for the inhabitants of the earth. Allahu Akbar. Look how great. I'm reminding here, I'm trying to refresh our souls now, because we're going to enter a new story here, to just feel the importance of those stories. Believe that this gathering is shining for the inhabitants of the skies now, where other places are dark and not known for the skies, because we made mainly out of spirits. Our spirits will be eternal, not our bodies. That's why our true value is in our spirits. And what a better spirit than the spirit that is connected to the Qur'an always. So this is one of the narrations that explains the greatness of the Qur'an. One of the great stories of the Qur'an is the story that happened between Prophet Musa alayhi salam and Al-Abd al-Salih, and the good slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Khidr, who is well known as the Khidr. And according to a lot of narrations, he still walk among us. He's still alive among us. Imagine thousands of years walking on earth. Now, there's different opinions whether Khidr was a prophet or not, but the most known opinion among our scholars is that he was a slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, a good worshipper of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him a privilege, a specialty over other slaves of Allah, even over Prophet Musa alayhi salam. Now, Prophet Musa alayhi salam was not a normal prophet. By the way, Prophet Musa alayhi salam was one of the best prophets ever walked on earth. Prophet Musa alayhi salam is one of Anbiya Ulil Azm, one of the most determined prophets ever walked on earth. Prophet Musa alayhi salam, Prophet Isa alayhi salam, Prophet Nuh alayhi salam, Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi, who is the best of all of them. So we're not talking about a normal prophet. Yet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala let him go through a trial, a test. So we can learn from this test, from this trial, learn from the teachings of this trial, apply this trial on us, try to conclude from this story what we can benefit in our lives, especially in the month of Ramadan. And also, in addition to that, it's a trial to elevate the spiritual level of Prophet Musa alayhi salam, and even to elevate the spiritual level of Al-Khidr alayhi salam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala teaches us through his prophets, and also teaches his prophets, his slaves. We can say that the main attribute that we can conclude or we can analyze from those verses that was shown in Prophet Musa alayhi salam was his humility. He was very humble to learn from Khidr alayhi salam. Although he was one of the greatest prophets ever walked on earth, yet he was like a child learning from his parents when it comes to knowledge. He was dealing with his teacher in great decency, in great respect. Yusuf alayhi salam showed a great respect to his parents, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala raised him. Now, we are going to talk about a great attribute in a leader, which is humility. When he faces something that he's ignorant about, that he's not knowledgeable about. So respect to the teacher. Humility in front of his teacher. And what about Khidr? On the other hand, we have Khidr alayhi salam, who has shown great wisdom, great patience in front of his student, who was eager to learn. Yet, although Khidr alayhi salam knew that Prophet Musa alayhi salam won't be patient when he passes through all those trials, yet he gave him the benefit of the doubt. He gave him a chance to learn. He clarified for him the hazards or the effects of every action he do. Look what the Qur'an says about this story. How the Qur'an started this story is great actually. Page 300, Surah Al-Kahf. Verse number 60. وَإِذْ قَالَ مُوسَى لِفَتَاهُ لَا أَبْرَحُ حَتَّى أَبْلُغَ مَجْمَعَ الْبَحْرَيْنِ أَوْ أَمْضِيَ حُقُبًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mentioning when Prophet Musa alayhi salam said to his boy. Now, according to certain narrations, this boy was called Yusha bin Nun. He was one of Prophet Musa alayhi salam, one of his descendants, one of his followers. He was wasi Nabi Musa alayhi salam. وَإِذْ قَالَ مُوسَى لِفَتَاهُ لَا أَبْرَحُ I will not stop unless I reach the junction of the two seas, where the two seas meet, or when the two seas are in front of each other. At that place where the junction of the two seas is, I will want to walk. I will not stop until I reach this place, this junction. Or I will spend my whole life walking. You will say to me, Syed, how did you conclude this conclusion? Well, actually, it's the meaning of hukuba. Hukuba in Arabic means time. Time that is endless. That is not limited, not confined with a certain amount or certain number. According to certain narrators, they say that it's around 80 years. But most of the interpreters of the Qur'an says that hukuba means time that is not confined with any amount, for infinity, for eternity. That's the meaning of hukuba. Now the main question here should be asked, why Prophet Musa alayhi salam is saying that? He's not stopping until he reaches this juncture, or else he will stay in his trial or in his walk until eternity. What is that great thing that you are seeking, Prophet Musa alayhi salam? That is knowledge. That is knowledge. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed to him through the revelation, of course, through the wahi, that someone will be waiting for him in this place. And the sign of this slave of God, of Khidr alayhi salam, is that a fish will slip away at this place. So when this event happens, when this incident happens, know that it's the time to meet that slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And according to certain narrations, like in Sahih al-Bukhari, that Prophet Musa alayhi salam gave a sermon in front of his people or some of his companions, and while he was talking about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, someone asked him, Are you the most knowledgeable person on earth? He said, yes, I am. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to teach him a lesson, or teach us maybe a lesson through his story. Therefore, Prophet Musa alayhi salam was very eager, and this is one of the lessons that we should apply in the month of Ramadan, was very eager to seek knowledge, to learn from others, to learn from a certain individual who has something, some knowledge that he doesn't have. Prophet Musa alayhi salam had the exoteric knowledge, ilm al-zahiri, you know, the knowledge that it's written in the legislation of Torah, for example, the laws of the Torah, how to judge among people, you know, what is halal, what is haram. But Khidr alayhi salam had another kind of knowledge, esoteric knowledge, ilm al-batini, mystic knowledge. Prophet Musa alayhi salam was very eager to learn from others, even though he was one of the most knowledgeable people. He's actually the most knowledgeable person on earth at that time. Yet, this level of knowledge didn't deprive him from seeking other knowledge. It didn't make him arrogant. He didn't look down at others who had better knowledge in other fields. So Prophet Musa alayhi salam was willing to walk for eternity for this knowledge. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed him and made him meet Khidr alayhi salam. وَإِذْ قَالَ مُوسَى لِفَتَاهُ. And actually he's teaching also his boy. Now, why would he say this thing to his boy? Because of course, the walking all this distance will be hard on him. So the verse is showing that this path, this walking, was hard on them. That's why Prophet Musa alayhi salam said that to his boy, to his descendant. That is the greatness of knowledge, brothers and sisters. That's why in one of the verses, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ, in one of our narrations from Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, someone asked him, what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala means by ya'budun, worshipping him? How should we worship him? Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala means وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْرِفُونَ. I haven't created people and even elves, the jinns, but to know me. Worshipping me by knowing me. The more you know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this holy month of Ramadan by interpreting his verses, the more you become fearful of his power, of his punishment. The more you know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and his greatness in saving his prophets, the more you are eager to pray to him. That's why one of the best deeds that a faithful person could do in this holy month of Ramadan is to seek knowledge. Even in Laylatul Qadr. You know, a lot of our scholars in Laylatul Qadr, they learned from the narrations of Ahl Bayt, from the Qur'an, from the teachings of the Qur'an. In fact, one of our greatest scholars called Sheikh Saduq, he said that knowledge probably is most important even than recitation for the dhikr. For every dhikr that you mention Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's the highest of the dhikr, knowledge. In one of our narrations, they repeat this narration for us in all stages of the hawza, the first year, the second year, the third year, to always remind ourselves about the value of knowledge, so we could always be motivated to know more, not to get lazy. This narration is إِنَّ الْمَلَائِكَةَ لَتَضَعْ أَجْنِحَتَهَا لِطَالِبِ الْعِلْمِ. Angels, lower their wings for talib al-ilm, for the seeker of knowledge. Even the whales in the darkest of the seas, even the whales praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on behalf of you, if you are a true seeker of knowledge. So this is the importance of knowledge, even to one of the most knowledgeable persons at that time. فَلَمَّا بَلَغَا مَجْمَعَ بَيْنِهِمَا فَلَمَّا بَلَغَا مَجْمَعَ بَيْنِهِمَا, verse number 61, نَسِيَا حُوتَهُمَا فَاتَّخَذَ سَبِيلَهُ فِي الْبَحْرِ سَرَبًا. When they have reached the junction of the two seas, the hoot, by the way, the hoot, we are used in Arabic that the hoot is the whale. No, they can't put on the backs the hoot, the whale. No one can take a hoot, a whale, and walk with it. So the hoot in Arabic is a fish. So they have lost, or the hoot, the samaka, the fish, slipped away from the hands of Prophet Musa alayhi salam and his follower. Not from his hand literally, figuratively. Maybe they slept for a time, and then after they woke up, after the ship slipped to the sea, went to the sea, فَلَمَّا جَاوَزَا قَالَ لِفَتَاهُ آتِنَا غَدَاءَنَا. They woke up and they walked a little bit, and then they have remembered that they have lost the fish in that place. قال فلما جاوزا قال لفتاه آتنا غداءنا. Give us our lunch. لقد لقينا من سفرنا هذا نصبا. We are tired from our travel. قال إذ أرأيت إذ أوينا إلى الصخرة. Verse number 63. فإني نسيت الحوت وما أنسانيه إلا الشيطان أن أذكره. Sorry, Prophet Musa alayhi salam, I have forgot the fish, and no one has made me forget this but except for the devil. واتخذ سبيله في البحر عجبا. And I wonder how he went or slipped, I wonder how this fish slipped away in the sea. قال ذلك ما كنا نبغ. This is what we want. فارتدا على آثارهما قصصا فوجدا عبدا. They have returned to their place, to that junction. فوجدا عبدا من عبادنا. They have found a slave of ours. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, have it said they have found a slave and that's it? عبدا من عبادنا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that he's a slave of mine. آتيناه رحمة من عندنا. We gave him mercy. Now, the interpreters of the Qur'an have different opinions about that. رحمة من عندنا. Some say that رحمة من عندنا is the prophecy. Some say رحمة من عندنا is his esoteric knowledge, the علم الباطني, the mystic knowledge. Others say that رحمة من عندنا, he had a very purified heart that can show him certain things that even Prophet Musa alayhi salam can see. وَعَلَّمْنَاهُ مِن لَدُنَّا عِلْمًا. We have given him knowledge from our knowledge, a special knowledge, a great knowledge actually. قال له موسى. By the way, it's a lesson for us in the month of Ramadan. It's a lesson for us in the month of Ramadan. How? If you want to learn the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you have to have a purified heart. And how is that? The way for that is to avoid sins as much as you can. The more you purify your heart, the more you are capable of grasping this knowledge, the knowledge of the prophets, whether the esoteric or the exoteric knowledge, especially the esoteric knowledge. What did Prophet Musa alayhi salam now say to Khidr alayhi salam when he met him? Did he say to him, look, I'm one of the best prophets ever walked on earth, so come to me Teach me. I order you to teach me. Don't ever dare not to teach me. Did they say to him like that? On the contrary. Now, Prophet Musa alayhi salam changes to a very humble student. هل أتبعك على أن تعلمني مما علمت رشدا? Should I follow you so I could learn from you a very special knowledge, not any knowledge, the knowledge that leads to righteousness, to truth, to reality, that will benefit me, benefit my soul, and thus benefit me for eternity. That's the difference. That's why he didn't say تعلمني مما علمت علما. He didn't say على أن تعلمني مما علمت علما. By the way, this is one of the signs that the Qur'an is very precise in his words. علمت رشدا, not any knowledge from what you have learned, a knowledge, a special knowledge that leads to truth, leads to the change of a soul. And it's not, the knowledge is not the goal. The knowledge is the tool for reality. Others believe that knowledge is it's the goal. The more you're a knowledgeable person of anything that you know, in any category, in any major, then you're very good. You're reaching perfection. Well, actually, that's not the case in Allah's criteria, in Allah's eyes. The knowledge that it's in the way or in the path of Allah, in the path of knowing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that is the beneficial knowledge. That's why he said rushda. قال إنك لن تستطيع معي صبرا. You will not be patient if I teach you. That's what Khidr said to Prophet Musa alayhi salam. So Khidr alayhi salam was not like astonished by Prophet Musa alayhi salam, Prophet Musa's alayhi salam level of spirituality, of sacredness, of his knowledge and his exoteric knowledge. I mean, he was not astonished to a level that he will say to him, yeah, whatever you want, Prophet Musa, I will do whatever you want. After all, you're the prophet, you're the leader of the people of Israel. How could I refuse your demand? Absolutely not. He knew that the responsibility of a teacher here is more important than compromising for the sake of the prophet. See? Prophet here, Khidr alayhi salam, was very just, very clear, because he was sending signs to Prophet Musa alayhi salam that you won't be patient if I taught you my knowledge. Why is that? Because I don't believe that I'm a better person than you. Not at all. Then why is that? The answer is in the verse number 68. وَكَيْفَ تَصْبِرُ عَلَى مَا لَمْ تُحِطْ بِهِ خُبْرًا. And how you will be patient about a knowledge that you are not experienced with, that you are not used to. He, Prophet Musa alayhi salam, Prophet Musa alayhi salam replied to Khidr, قال ستجدني إن شاء الله صابرا. Give me a chance. You will find me very patient. And I will not disobey you with anything, with any order that you order me. Then again, Khidr alayhi salam as a teacher, look at the responsibility of a teacher. In the month of Ramadan, you are a teacher of yourself. You are a teacher of your family. You are a teacher of your children, right? So you have to be very logical, very logical in setting the hazards or clarifying the hazards of any action that your student is doing, whether it's your son, whether your brother, and not to be intimidated by anything, not to compromise anything because you have certain emotions with the other person. You have to know that it's the responsibility of you in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to take care of the other person, to give him what is best for him, not what he wants for him. Not what he wants for him, what is best for him. That's why even political leader must do what's best for his people, not what the people want. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala appoints his leaders, because he gives the people what is best for them, not what they demand. With all respect to the democracy, according to our Islamic school of thought, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows what is best for people better than they believe is best for them. Great lesson here for us in the month of Ramadan, because a lot of people around the world don't believe that. That's why there's no justice in the whole world, no fairness. But if we follow what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala set as the attributes in a political leader, as the attributes in a follower, and we followed those guidelines, we would have reached justice, as that French author witnessed or confessed about the Qur'an, about the teachings of the Qur'an. Again, Haider alayhi salam clarifies the effects and the results of every action that Musa alayhi salam will take with him. So he said to him, verse number 70, قَالَ فَإِنِ اتَّبَعْتَنِي, if you follow me, again, don't ask me about anything unless I speak with you about it. Be aware. He said, yes. You see how many conditions Haider alayhi salam said to Prophet Musa alayhi salam, because he feels the responsibility of a teacher here in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He believes that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will ask him one day in the afterlife, did you do what is best for your student or what you believe is best for you? It's actually a lesson for teachers. When you teach others, believe that it's a message, it's a trial from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How will you inspire others? Rather than thinking, how will you benefit yourself just by letting time pass and thus get your salary and your benefits? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala teaches teachers and students how to seek knowledge for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How this knowledge will be blessed if it was in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whether you were an engineer, a doctor, a teacher, whatever your work is, if it's in the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you want to inspire others so they can help people, so you can multiply your ajr, your rewards from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so you can accomplish the satisfaction of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's a different mentality. It's a different mentality Haider is showing to us with Prophet Musa alayhi salam. فانطلقا حتى إذا ركبا في السفينة فانطلقا حتى إذا ركبا في السفينة خرقا. Now the first test starts. Haider immediately, when he had embarked on the ship, when he entered the ship, immediately he tore the ship. He breached the ship. He made a hole in the ship. Prophet Musa alayhi salam immediately what? Opposed Haider alayhi salam. He said to him, قَالَ أَخَرَقْتَهَا لِتُغْرِقَ أَهْلَهَا. You have made a hole in the ship, and the owners of this ship are poor people hunting fish every day for their needs, to eat, to live. Look what you are doing. Look how you are hurting those poor people. لَقَدْ جِئْتَ شَيْئًا إِمْرًا. You have did something, a very false thing, a very bad thing. But how did Haider alayhi salam reply to Prophet Musa alayhi salam? This is what we'll be elaborating inshallah about tomorrow. I'll keep some ambiguity in the story so you could be present tomorrow inshallah. Whatever the circumstances, I hope to see you all tomorrow. It's actually one of the ways of jihad. It's the jihad al-akbar. which is what Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked his companions to apply and to implement in their lives. So hopefully we'll see you tomorrow. We'll learn more lessons inshallah, even better lessons. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم والحمد لله رب العالمين.